Good morning. All right, so a lot of you guys know, most of you know, that I have a small business called Empower Creative Agency, LLC. This is actually what I did before Just Be Books. Just Be Books, a children's book series for mental health for ages pre-K to second grade, actually was just supposed to be an example product of what Empower could do. So now that I'm shifting gears, I'm full on Empower with some of my other side gigs, and I did a bunch of work for Break the Norm. We are partnering with Break the Norm to do a really cool event for educators. It's a small test event, a think tank about disciplinary actions in a really important way. So I want to show you all of the cool event graphics I made. Also, side note, I love paper products and graphic design, and this is part of what makes Empower Creative Agency work. Empower Creative Agency does project management for creative endeavors. I made that a broad statement in general because throwing an event to help educators be really effective and helpful and loving in their disciplinary actions, it's a creative endeavor, so project management for that includes so much. I made it vague and on purpose like that. So let me show you all the cool stuff I made. So first I want to show you the agenda that I made. I got asked to do all of the intro activities. So I made all of this on Canva. Welcome, below are some icebreakers and journal prompts to get you thinking about our event today. Be ready to think, pair, share in a few minutes. Can you tell I've been a teacher for like a couple of years now? Getting social, book board suggestions. Write down books that you've read related to the think tank topic that have had an impact on you and your practices. Pin book suggestions on the book board. Let me show you the book board. All right. Boom. So this is another graphic that I made for them. I made a book board suggestion. I put the directions on here, and this will be at the event. I made all of our icebreakers really conducive to introverts because I naturally am an introvert. All of these, though, are things that you can share with someone. So the think, pair, share aspect allows the extrovertedness at a pace that's comfortable for both introverts and extroverts. I also made these little cards for the book suggestion board, and I put my own as an example. So let me show you those in depth as well, and then I'll show you the other examples as well. So this book board suggestion card looks like this. I printed it on hard stock paper and then cut it with my little paper slicey. Book recommendation on our workshop topic. I made all of these materials for the owner and founder of the company to be pretty broad, so she can use these templates and print again and again and again for multiple events. Recommender's name, I'll put my name, Paris, so that we can see which teacher did what, and that'll allow us to go back and say, hey, I saw this, what is this book about? And then you can get that recommendation in person. Then pin it on our book board. So I'm going to bring that to the event. I also made her, I put them all on one PDF. There's 9 on here, and that allows for the printing to be easier, so she can just slice those over time. I also will make her perhaps, I work with Avery Business Cards. It's 5371 template, and that I also might make her a version of that too, in case she wants to buy those and print at home and just have the tear ability if she doesn't have a paper slicer. So I'll probably throw that in there too. Okay, let's go back to our next activity. Play-Doh creation. Use the Play-Doh on your desk to make a symbol of who you were as a kid, any age K through 12. Think, pair, share. So I bought a big bunch of Play-Doh for this event for her and for the founder, and I made a couple cute things. So let me show you. I'm going to put the big pile of little Play-Doh jars in the middle of the table that all of us are working. It's about, I think, 9 or 10 people are coming to this event now. So I made this little card for her, and it has the directions, Play-Doh creation, and it has the exact same little thing there too. So they will get, each individual will get this in their packet when they come in. And then around the room, they'll also be able to see these little branded cards to say, oh, I can walk over and do this. Again, these are all introverted topics, but the ability to share with everyone, and it's a nice way to visual. You can ask your neighbor easily, what are you making? What is your symbol? And that's something really cool as an introverted way to think about events that I've learned over the years, is if everything is task-based, networking will happen naturally. and everybody wins. The introverts, the extroverts, if there's task-based, everyone can recognize the task and go for it. The other two things that I'll show is getting thoughtful. Journal prompt, think, pair, share. You guys know I love journals. I love mental health. So of course I put this in our mix for these intro activities. Write down or think about one not so great moment from the classroom from when you were a kid and one great moment from the classroom from when you were a kid. So this will get us starting to think as teachers and educators about we're the teachers now and we're the adult in the room, but let's think back of what it felt like to be a kid, because that's who we're working with, and we're thinking about those disciplinary moments of how did our teacher interact when my kid self did this thing that was, really good or really bad. How did the classroom environment interact with me? The other question, journal prompt, think, pair, and share. Write down or think about a coping strategy you accidentally used a lot as a kid and a coping strategy you use a lot on purpose as an adult. This is a really multi-dimensional question and activity. So it's a journal-based prompt. When I had come up with this question, I was thinking, okay, mental health to me is in everything we do. Our coping skills are, if we're aware of what we're doing, if we're not aware of what we're doing, we're still practicing skills and we're coping whether we mean to or not. As kids, the kids we work with, all of us work with kids ages K through 12th grade right now as educators. I'm working as an entrepreneurship educator, and the other guests are educating on different topics during their day-to-day. When we think about our kids interacting with us, our students interacting with us, sometimes they do stuff that we don't understand as adults. And we're like, why did you think to do that? They might be acting out in a way that we have to do this event is about discipline, right? Thinking about why did they do that? I don't want to have to discipline them for that. That's like, why did they do that? That's not, So it's good for us to think about, what did we do as a kid? Maybe for me as a kid, I got really quiet when something was wrong, because I kind of turned in and started reflecting and observing what was happening. I wasn't comfortable with confrontation. I'm still working on that. And thinking about that as a kid, that's what I did. As an adult, I try to journal now when I'm in those situations. That's a coping skill I use on purpose. I think about what my emotions are, and I actively try to engage with the situation with, kind verbal cues and that kind of thing of like, hey, using I statements, I'm feeling like X, Y, and Z, da-na-na-na-na. So you can already see me talking about these different interactivities is getting me talking. So all of us teachers are very thoughtful people. We're very purposeful of what we do. So I'm hoping I know these questions and prompts in the 30 minutes that we start this event, we'll get them thinking. We'll start getting into the mindset. So Rachel, the owner of Break the Norm, that I'm doing all of this for, she has a proposed schedule. I, on purpose, always write proposed schedule because it allows, instead of just saying the schedule for our event or agenda, it allows that room to say, this will change. This isn't set in stone. This is, as the event coordinator and the owner of the company, this is what I'm proposing we do. But you guys are just as much of adults as I am. We can switch it up. If we go into topics, cool. So like I said, all of this is about, this topic is on restorative justice practices in our classrooms, disciplinary activities. So here's my icebreakers. That's what I just showed you. And then cue storming. So this is what she had sent. We already sent this also to all of the other participants in case they wanted to adjust or actually prep for any of these things too. Of course, I wrote notes. I have 2 whole pages of notes, and all of this is printed one-sided. There's extra notes on the back. So again, for all of these introverted people or the extroverted people, they have a lot to say and a lot to think about. Maybe they want to take some of this information we talk about back to their teaching practices. Lots of room to write. So that's the main agenda. I also wanted to show, I had also made a couple more activities for her as well in terms of event planning under my Empower Creative Agency brand. So here are my name tags. And this is a template she can print out actually. So I'll show you like this: front name, name tag, pronoun, name, pronouns, job title. And then also here, you can't see right here, but I'll show you on the back here. On the back, here's the front. I made my example, Paris Gramann, she, her, entrepreneur / teacher at SEH. On the back, I actually wrote why you're here today, plus set your intentions for our time together. So this is something that I think is really important. I'm going to keep doing this if I ever do events, when I do events, about that name tag is like, this always faces outward to people. It's who you are on the outside. But these are this internal journal where you can say, why am I here today? What are my intentions for my time together? It's a 4 or 5 hour event. This is always going to face you on the table during your event. You can check in with yourself often. If you're starting to get lost, feel overwhelmed at events, again, this is very good for introverts. Can you tell I'm a natural introvert? Think about why we're here today. What are my intentions? So that always faces you. You can do a check-in with yourself, and that's on the back of your name card. On this template that I made for my client, Break the Norm, you can see that this prints out too. I'm doing a thicker cardstock for this. You can see here, it's a thicker cardstock. And then I have these little lines, a fold line and a cut line. So that's another thing that I created for her. Lastly too, of course, I have her logos here. I made these little labels for her. So again, you had already seen the book board. So this is our cut line, right? And then this Play-Doh creation, you can fold here. The last thing I did for her, I've run a couple events before, and I've also been to a lot of events. Signage. Branded signage is so nice when you're at a new location that people aren't used to going to. So I want to show you a couple of these. I made all the things that I could think about and more. So here's bathroom this way. Bathroom, those are down here. We also have bathroom to the left, bathroom to the right, and a cut line in the middle. You can print out as many as you want. You could just lead people through. With the brand, they know you're here for their event, and they keep saying this is your logo, so they're like, okay, I'm allowed to go this way because this is for my event. The other things I made for her are parking, event space, event upstairs, event downstairs. Again, you can print out as many of these as you want, as well as event to the left, event to the right. These are the blank things that I had left because you can print these out and then with a Sharpie, itemize them differently based on what you need and customize them. Room blank, 229 to the left, room 326 to the right, and then you can actually say, label when you get there. There also, I made a few blank ones so that she can customize whatever she wants. And this is really nice. My partner, when I showed him this, he was saying, oh, you could actually, sometimes events have multiple locations and multiple rooms. So you can actually say this here and show them, okay, for this breakout session, you're going to go, everyone who's interested in this section can go to room 229. Everyone here can go to 312. So this allows for that signage as well. And sometimes too, in events, they might say, they might title it a fun way. This is the blue room. This is the green room. So you can also, with this last one, title it in a customized way. So I'm excited to show you guys all about what I had made for this event. I also printed out all of the agendas here. I printed out all of these things. You can start and you can see when they were beautiful and color. So I gave her both the colored agenda and a black and white because after I printed, this is the 5th one that I tried to print, my color ink went out and I had just printed more color, bought new color ink. So with some of these beautiful, colorful things, her ink will run out. So I made sure to also give her a black and white version of the main agenda so that she can print. So I made 12 of everything, plus these little book cards. I made way more just because, especially as teachers and people who are interested in education, we have plenty of ideas, we have plenty of book suggestions, and way more are needed than just one per person. So I made sure to think, I did 12 of these, we have about 9 people coming, but we already all know that sometimes we mess up, sometimes we need more space. So I probably will even print a couple more just blank note sheets for everyone in case they want to add a few more. Additionally, and I'll show you this, prepping for this event, I want to make sure that I think about all of the ways that someone's going to interact here. So as an example, with this book board that I showed you, I actually did an example of a book recommendation that I have. It's called The disciplinarian. It's like how to manage classroom management as a softie, which is totally me. I got this book recommendation from another teacher. Anyways, I think it fits in with this topic of restorative justice practices really well. Anyways, when I was prepping for that, I noticed, oh, I need a pen. So I found a pen, and I also made sure I have plenty for the entire event. I also, in my possession, currently have one Sharpie that I could find, but for our name tags, I want to have a few more. So I asked the owner of the company, just, hey, can you bring more Sharpies if you can? With that being said, too, I have these that I'm going to put next to the book board. It's a bunch of push pins to think about ahead of time. How do we interact with the materials? And also I printed out, like I said, plenty of book tags. These are about the size as a business card. Again, I'm going to probably put these into the Avery business card. I use 5371, I think is the template number I use. And I have print a bunch of those. I'll link everything. Or if you want to inquire, I can show you which templates I use. So thinking about the event as a whole, when people are going to use the bathroom, we might think about bathroom to the right, bathroom to the left. We also might actually think about before the event happens, it's probably important also to think about, does the bathroom have a key card? Do you need something like that? So making sure that that all is also branded and easy to use, to think about how do people do these basic little things. Do we need water for people? It's a 4 or 5 hour event. Should we bring some granola bars in case people get snacky? So thinking about those things are also cool. Just the human. What does the human need? The Play-Doh, for example, also is a nice way if somebody's getting a little, burnt out, that introverted part, they can play with the Play-Doh and kind of, like do something. I don't know. So, holistic event planning, and also from Empower Creative Agency, LLC, which is my business, we do we do project management for creative endeavors, and I love graphic design, and that has to do with a lot of things. So signage, all that jazz. I hope you enjoyed looking at this. And it's just fun to think about these things. So if you ever have any ideas, I would love to continue learning. All right. See you soon.